Hey Facebook world, how are you? I haven't put a video up about this before, but I want to, because I want to open the discussion, and I want to come out straight away. And for those of you who aren't aware, which I think most of you on my page are, I'm a registered nurse, and I'm still a registered nurse, and I have been a registered nurse for many years, over 10 years, 12, 14 years now. I've worked in aged care, I've worked in high stress metropolitan hospitals. I was a clinical nurse specialist. I have a postgrad in nursing science and a postgraduate diploma in wound care and stromal therapy. I worked as a clinical nurse specialist, and I like to believe that I was really good at my job. What's happening in this whole world of COVID right now, for me, it doesn't align. And it doesn't align for a number of reasons, in the sense that, one, I understand the concept and the public health message of flattening the curve, take the pressure off the public health system. I totally get that. I was totally down with that at the beginning, and it made a whole heap of sense to me. I have plenty of friends and family who are nurses and doctors in the public health system, and I wouldn't want them to be overrun with COVID infections. However, we're now like 18 to 20 months down the track. We're trying to roll out this vaccine. And now what I see on things like the front page of the Herald Sun, which absolutely appalls me, it is absolute fear mongering by media outlets, is that if you choose not to have the jab, that you will not be allowed to go to events such as the football, the basketball, restaurants, live music. Now, I think this is a very, very slippery slope for bureaucrats to be playing in regards to healthcare. So I want to just point one thing out. If you have got the vaccine because you trust the science, you trust the research, you trust the government who are marketing this to you, great. That's your choice. You've made the right decision for you, and I absolutely respect that. I think everybody should be entitled to make the right decision for them based on their health. Now, if you have chosen to not yet consume the vaccine, I strongly oppose you being ostracized, disrespected, relegated, called a leper in this society. And if you are one of these people who are doing this, you need to stop. Because the reason why majority of people have not injected into their body a drug is because they don't trust the information that has been provided. So the facts are that this new aged vaccine that is coming out is a new type of vaccine. It is not a traditional form of vaccine that we've had in the past, measles, mumps, rubella, meningococcal, flu even. It's a new type, it's a new technology. And I'm all for new medical science, but there are a lot of people who are saying, well, I'm not convinced. I want to wait for the long-term studies. I want to wait for some more information. Now, if you are one of these people who sit in this camp and you say, I want to wait, I want more information, please, you are being labeled as an anti-vaxxer. Now, that is incredibly unfair. So I am one of these people who fall into this camp. I'm a registered nurse. I'm a very experienced health professional. I understand lots of things around virology, and I want to wait for the long-term studies to be produced and published. Now, because of that, people label me an anti-vaxxer. Well, I'm not an anti-vaxxer. I'm actually pro-vaccine. I'm pro-medical research, and I am fully vaccinated. I have had measles, mumps, rubella, meningococcal, influenza. I've had my TB. I've had the Gardasil vaccines. All my kids are vaccinated. If I needed to travel overseas, I would take the vaccines that I would need to take. The reason I have no issue in taking these is because they have a heap of medical research and evidence and long-term studies with long-term side effects behind them. Now, the fact is that this just doesn't exist for this new type of vaccine for COVID that we are rolling out to the world. And my concern, and I'm sure the concerns and the conversations that I've had with other people who sit in my camp, is exactly that. the what ifs. And the what ifs are just too great. So the what ifs. What if this new type of drug causes infertility? What if this new type of drug causes cancer? What if this new type of drug increases your risk of stroke? What if this new type of drug reduces your life expectancy by 20 years? The reality is we just do not have the answers to these questions. Now, because we do not have these answers, I'm not really prepared to inject something into my body that I can't get out. Once it's in, it's in. You can't get it out. I choose to wait for more research. I'm not opposed to vaccine. I just want more information. And with the government promoting gift vouchers of $100 or a beer or a sausage or a donut, I'm sorry, that just doesn't cut it for me. And now with the Herald Sun coming out and putting this information on the front page of their newspaper that bureaucrats are talking about not allowing me into events because I'm not double vaccinated, I really couldn't care less. Because the reason I don't care about not being able to go somewhere if I'm not double vaccinated is because this whole story and this narrative behind being double vaccinated gives you this cloak of immunity is false. The facts are this vaccine does not stop transmission, infection, or death. And so the question I ask, and the slippery slope that we are going to go down, we're going to go there, it's going to happen, is that if we segregate our communities and we only allow double vaccinated people to go into certain events and to a certain community, events, parties, restaurants, and the vaccinated people are not allowed to go there. So when I say vaccinated, the people who have chosen to wait to take the COVID vaccine because there's not enough information for them, so they're not allowed to go. What are we creating? Are we not creating a cesspool of double vaccinated people who can still transmit, share, and die of the vaccine? And if we look at places like the UK where they have quite high vaccination rates, and we have health bureaucrats coming out and saying that 60% of the people who are admitted to hospital are double vaccinated, this just doesn't make any sense to me. Once you have the polio vaccine, you really have quite good immunity. Yes, that you could still get it, but it's worked. Now, this whole concept of take the vaccine because it reduces your symptoms, again, it doesn't make sense to me. Because how can they truly say that? How can bureaucrats say that if you take the vaccine, your symptoms when you get COVID will be less? Because they don't know what my symptoms would be like in the first place. So that again is false. It's misleading. They're saying if you take this, we guarantee you your symptoms will be less. Well, half the people who have COVID don't even know they've got COVID. So how can you get less symptoms than not even knowing? It just doesn't make sense. And all of these things that don't make sense and don't align give more and more reason for people like me who are pro-vaccine to wait and to get more information, because the information that's being marketed to us, and I use that word marketed because this is the best bloody marketing campaign I have ever seen, and I am heavily involved in business. It's just confusing and it's misleading. And it doesn't make sense from a medical point of view. It just doesn't make sense. This is a virus. Viruses mutate, they change, they evolve, they morph. So this one shot or two shot thing that they're marketing is like, take your 2 shots. It's just rubbish. Like, is this going to become like the flu? You have to have the flu shot every year. You have to have flu and COVID. They're going to give you a combo? Who knows? I don't know. But what I do know is that I'm very concerned about what's happening in the world right now. I'm very concerned about censorship. I'm very concerned about one narrative and no open public conversation. I'm very concerned about doctors being silenced. I'm very concerned about nurses not being allowed to speak out. I'm very concerned about the number of vaccine injuries that are in our hospitals right now that are getting no media coverage, that these people are suffering in silence. I'm very concerned about that. I'm very concerned about a blindsided, blinker-focused one-way narrative that this is how we should do things, and don't ask questions. And if you do, you are labeled a conspiracy theorist and you are just, you know, an absolute nuffy. It doesn't make sense to me. I don't agree with it. I have years and years of experience in healthcare, and for me, this just doesn't add up. And yeah, I just wanted to put it out there, because you can write as many things as you want to write on Facebook posts and feeds, and they're censored, and there's people in either camp, but what's happening in the world doesn't make sense.